Hi, Courtney here, and I'm trying this new YouTube camera on my phone rather than using my gallery camera, so I'm hoping things work out a little better today. If you like these visits, please give a thumbs up and subscribe. That helps greatly with sharing them and getting the algorithm out there so other people see this. Today, I want to talk to you about what to do when you've hit financial rock bottom or when you need to plan for hard times. And really, everyone should do this regardless of your current situation today or where you are today. Even if you're in good shape today, everyone needs to kind of have a plan, because people who are very wealthy go broke, and people who are struggling living paycheck to paycheck are at higher risk of going broke. So let me tell you here what I have come up with, and we'll just have a little talk about it. So if you've hit financial rock bottom and you find yourself there, there's no point in panicking. You can only do what you can control. The first thing I would tell you that you need to do is take financial responsibility for the choices that got you here. The reason this is so important is because if you don't take financial responsibility, you are very apt to repeat the same things over and over again. You have to own your mistakes, and they may have just been mistakes. It may have been things that you just didn't know. Maybe you were raised to think a certain way, and that way wasn't working. Your family may have been broke and bad with money. So you just take responsibility that you made those choices. They weren't great choices, and now you're going to learn from them and move on. A lot of people that I know are just in denial about the choices they've made. They're in denial about the situation they're in, and that is doing nothing to get you out. And sometimes you'll make mistakes again. I promise you'll make mistakes again. I filed bankruptcy at 20 and did okay, and then married someone who was very bad with money and had some issues. They were issues that cost a lot of money. I'll just say that. And I have to still take responsibility because I chose to marry that person. I chose to stay in the marriage. I chose to enable, and so I have to own that. Once I got divorced, even though my income dropped about 70%, which is average for a divorced woman, I was able to stay out of debt, get out of debt, and have a much better life in a short amount of time than I did when I was married. So it can be done, but it takes patience and discipline. So the first thing you need to do is come up with your rock bottom budget. And I'm doing this today because we have accumulated about a 1 year's savings, and we're about to take half of that, a 1 year's income savings, and build a little cabin on our property that will be used to house our youngest son who has a disability when he's home from school. And when he's not home from school, I'll be using it as a vacation rental. So we want to do that by paying cash for it. So I need to come up with a rock bottom budget because it's going to decrease our emergency fund, and I need to know how much I need to live on if something were to happen. So if you're in that boat and Murphy's at the door, something has happened, you're going bankrupt, whatever, you still need to do this. So I just looked at ours. I looked at our house payment, the minimum we would have to pay. I looked at a storage building that we have that, quite truthfully, could be gone. I could sell everything out of that and be done with it. I looked at our electric, our water bill, our Wi-Fi, and our Netflix. And I made little parentheses around everything that could be completely done away with or reduced. For instance, I need Wi-Fi to do my job, so I could reduce the amount of data we get. We live in the country, and it's crappy. So you have to have these expensive plans to even have Wi-Fi. But I could do without Netflix. I could do without the storage building. There were some things that were yearly expenses, like auto insurance. I could drop my car down to just liability. My car is paid for, but it's still valued at about $15,000. So I do keep full coverage on it right now. The water bill is a yearly bill. I just went ahead and included that. Real estate taxes and insurance. Life insurance is monthly. Propane, we do that about once or twice a year. And we do have a boat. That boat could be sold. But I added all of those up and divided them by 12 and came up with an amount that we would need, which happens to equal what we make now. So I'm not comfortable with less than 3 to 6 months of living expenses in the bank. So I came up with what that would look like. How much do I need in the bank? Now, I know if you're watching this, you may say, yeah, well, that would be great, but everything's gone to hell in a handbasket for me right now. Okay, you still have to have a rock bottom budget. You need to make a budget of every expense you have. And if you have a business and you're not sure if your business is paying expenses and that business is going away, you need to figure out what the business is paying that you'll still have, like your car, your phone, your gas, all of those things. And you need to include that in your rock bottom budget. You need to include food as well and any other expenses that you absolutely have to have. You could probably go without buying clothes for 3 to 6 months if you had to. We all probably could. So you come up with that figure. Now, the next thing you'd want to do is if you're going to be out of a job or, it just depends on your situation, you've got to figure out either A, what you can sell, or B, you've got to go and find a job right away. If you're not able to find a job because of illness or something, maybe you can sell something. Maybe your family can help you sell something. For instance, we have a boat and we have 3 cars. We have a work truck for our roofing business, a daily driver car for my husband because the work truck is outrageously expensive, and we have to drive, and we have my car. So we could sell one vehicle if one of us got sick or something like that. We could sell our boat. We couldn't sell the tractor because we have to take care of the farm with the tractor. But if we sold our house, in a worst case scenario, even if we were going bankrupt, I could sell the house and we could rent and use the profit for the house to live on for a small time. I think when I talk to people who are in financial distress, they have a lot of limitations on themselves that are just like theories in their mind. It's not necessarily that those limitations are true. It's just that they're hard. And the truth is, a lot of the things you have to do if things go south is make really hard freaking decisions. And when you think about all the decisions you have to make at once, it's completely overwhelming. And I tell you this today because I've not only been through this myself, but I've seen family members go through it as well. My mom has lost 2 husbands that did not leave her in financially good shape. One of those situations, we had a business that we had to close, and it was a nightmare and embarrassing. We didn't know that taxes hadn't been paid on the business. They came and they put red tape over the doors. It was so humiliating, and we had no idea. And we had to figure out, while planning a funeral, how to close down our business. So it was a nightmare, but it can be done. You just have to eat that elephant one bite at a time. If it's not already been clear, you have to reduce your expenses. So if you allow $200 a month or a week for groceries and toiletries, you're going to have to cut that back and figure out how to eat less expensively. Then once you cut back your expenses, figure out how to get some money. It's very important, no matter how broke you are, that you try to have $1,000 emergency fund. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't think that's enough. I think everybody needs at least 1 month's expenses in an emergency fund, because if something happened and you lost your job, it's going to take you at least a month to get another job. And when you get, or a couple of weeks, you may be lucky and get one the next week, but a lot of times you don't get a paycheck for 2 to 4 weeks after starting a job and think you can get so behind. So I would highly recommend you figure up your bare bones budget and a minimum of a 1 month emergency fund. I hope this has been helpful. It's really basic, but it's simple, but it's really hard to do. And the truth is, if you keep a 1 month emergency fund and you don't touch it, you treat it like it is just gold, when something happens, you're going to be a lot better off and able to make decisions that are going to kind of make you feel hijacked when you don't have that emergency fund. So bare bones budget, very important. Sell off everything, find another job, figure out how you can live minimally, cut your expenses. And also, if you have lost your job or you are losing your job, you need to apply for every benefit that you can at this time. I know a lot of people are humiliated to have to ask for help from the government, but if you know it's a temporary situation and your situation is that bad, go ahead and do it. Apply for insurance, apply, they don't call it food stamps anymore, but any kind of assistance that you need as a temporary way to not get into deeper debt, and then you can pick yourself up and get off of that as soon as you can. I hope this has been helpful. Courtney Butler Robinson here. You can follow me online at thefrugalarian.com. I'm also on Instagram under The Frugalarian, and here as Courtney Butler Robinson. Thank you. Bye-bye.